Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Relationships. Why is it that when somebody breaks up because one of them cheated, people outside of the relationship feel the need to tell them that they need to work this out or to talk it out? They should be told to not stick their nose in other people's business unless they're invited. And this is exactly what our next OP had to deal with. This one's from user Throwaway Clean Break. 5 days since I served my soon-to-be ex-wife, 30 female, of 7 years. Now everyone is piling on me to talk to her. I have made a decision to go no contact after serving my wife 5 days ago. I am refusing to see or talk to her, and everyone is piling on to talk to her. It's driving me nutty. Messages and calls 24/7. What can I say to these people to get them to back off without being rude? These are my friends, family, and people I want to remain in contact with after the divorce is finalized. Some background. We dated from the age of 20 and married when she became pregnant with our son. Our marriage was great. We got another kid, a daughter, 2 years after the first, and have had excellent intimacy, good communication, good finances. We owned our house. We had a cat. Kids are well balanced and doing well. We were happy, or so I thought. Then, about 4 months ago, my wife, let's call her Sue, came home from work gushing about this new manager they got. Let's call him Frank. I felt uneasy right away, like something was off. I smiled and asked a few questions, like if he was married, did he have kids, where did he live, etc. She tells me he is on his second marriage and has 4 kids in total. I was thinking this was probably a crush. I have had those, but they usually pass. So I decided to just wait. It would probably just go away. Over the next week, this would happen every day, and I got more and more uneasy. I decided I need to see if something more was going on, so I told Sue that I got a virus alert on the home network and that I needed to update the virus software on her pad, her mobile, and her laptop. She has no IT skills whatsoever. She gave me her equipment and I installed remote monitoring software and key logging from the best online service I could find. Best $20 a month subscription I ever got. A few days later, I saw the first text messages going back and forth between them. They were pretty innocent, mostly work-related. Still, the frequency escalates a little over the next 4 to 6 weeks and gets more personal. I do a soft confrontation with my wife. She comes home from work and I stare at her intensely. She asks me what's wrong and I ask her if she crashed the car or something. She's surprised at the question and says no. So I tell her that she looks like she's done something wrong and is trying to hide it. She gets defensive, says she hasn't, and asks me what I'm talking about. I tell her that she just looks guilty of something, ask her if she's lying to me and if there's something she needs to tell me. She blames work, having a long day, blah blah blah. The next few days there were fewer messages between them, but they are quickly back at it in full force. The messages start to get flirty and I softly confront her again. Again, she lies to my face. I assume this will probably end badly, so at around the 2nd month mark, I decided to prepare for the worst. I also start to prepare myself emotionally. Over the next 2 months, their exchanges evolve into a full-blown emotional affair, and it's getting more and more intimate. I confront my wife repeatedly. I don't present any evidence. She keeps lying. I am not going to force her to stop. After all, she is a grown woman and she makes her own choices. She lies to my face again and again. I feel a gigantic rift opening up between us and our intimacy and bed life stops. I find I am checking out of the marriage in parallel with their activities. I am devastated, but working out a lot and steeling myself for the reality that the only likely outcome at this point is divorce. I get a lawyer, I prepare the paperwork, and I even hire a guy to be on standby to serve her if and when I decide to pull the cord. Then I see the first messages where they plan to meet up. I am actually relieved since I can finally decide to end it. Just watching this train wreck unfold is agonizing. I rent a room on the same floor on the day they are planning to meet up, and I get my guy ready to serve her in the hotel. D-Day arrives, and she lies and tells me she has to work overtime. I drive to the hotel and wait for her to arrive. Me and the guy I hired to serve her go up about 10 minutes after she gets into the elevator, and we go up to her floor. The elevator needed a key card. It is the only reason I rented a room. We go to the door. I hear moaning, so they are already at it. I hide around the corner, and the serving guy bangs loudly on the door. They go quiet. Frank asks, "What is it?" And the serving guy says he has an urgent delivery for Sue. Sue then asks, "What is it?" And the serving guy simply says that he doesn't know and that was just told it's urgent and needed to be delivered right away. Great, we surprised them. It wasn't what they expected to happen at all. She didn't recognize the voice, but he used her name. So after some back and forth, Sue finally opens the door in a robe. The serving guy asks her, "Sue, last name?" And she responds with a "yes." She gets the envelope and I pop out to sign the form. My wife sees me and just goes white. I signed the papers I need to sign and walk over to her. She doesn't move. I don't know what's going on with her. She looks confused to say the least. Like what she is seeing doesn't compute. I had prepared for this moment. I look into the room and say, "Hey Frank, show yourself. I know you're in there." He looks around the corner and is obviously scared. I continue, "Did you enjoy my wife, Frank? Or is it lying to your own wife that gets you off? Or is it having several mistresses at once, Frank? Is it lying to and cheating on everyone? Is that it?" He remains silent. Then I look at my wife and say, "Sue, you didn't really think you were the only side chick this guy had, did you? You are one of 3 as far as I know. I just made this up. I have no idea if he has more mistresses other than my wife. I just needed to be mean and ruin what they had going on." Then I look at my wife again and say, "Sue, listen to me. You are now single, so don't let me disturb you anymore. You can go back and continue your activities." Then I stormed off. I started crying, but I wasn't going to let them see that, so I ran down the stairs instead of waiting for the elevator. On my way, I heard this primal scream from my wife that was unlike anything I had ever heard before. I took a lot of solace in that scream the last few days. I got in my car and ugly cried for hours. Now I am mostly over it. I am glad it's done. I can move on. I feel liberated actually. I told the kids and they are staying with my parents for now. I even started to flirt with a work colleague and I have got on Tinder. I am chatting with a few women and it's a great boost for my ego. I am not looking for anything physical or serious. I will probably never trust anyone enough to have a long-term relationship again anyway. I haven't talked to my wife since. She floods me with messages that I just ignore. But everyone is calling me and trying to guilt trip me or pressure me into talking to her. I have also been thinking about telling Frank's wife. If I was her, I would want to know, and I don't think Frank will all of a sudden develop a spine and own up. Wow, OP, that was ice cold. You kept your head on your shoulders. You did a great job with this one. You gave her plenty of opportunities, not necessarily to come clean, but at least to end what she was doing. You kept asking and confronting her softly, so she did have a lot of chances to say, "What am I doing? I'm ruining my family. This is gonna hurt us," and stop it. She didn't. She got served. It's on her. Good for you. Now, regarding the people that want you to talk to her, I'm going to read a few community comments with the advice they gave OP, and then we're gonna move on with the update. In Recovery says, "Do tell Frank's wife. She deserves to know and make up her mind about what she wants to do. And in a courteous way, explain to your family and friends that your marital problems are not open for advice." Arrow My Life Chutulhu says, "Might also want to contact their company HR. Companies usually don't encourage managers to have romantic relationships with subordinates due to possible legal ramifications and optics. Sometimes HR policy requires individuals to self-report and get the all clear. May want to inform the HR person and forward your text messages. Kranok says, just ask your friends what you should talk to your wife about. Be hard and direct. They need to understand that this is not something that can be repaired, so ask them uncomfortable questions. Stuff like, do you really think that I want to hear from her how her sex was with Frank? You really want that I ask my wife why she gave up on me and the kids? Would you like me to ask her if she used a condom or if she didn't even care about my health? If they answer no, then ask them why you should talk to her. You talked to her plenty of times before, and each time she decided to lie and not talk to you. Why should you be the one now that needs to talk? That train has left the station when your soon-to-be ex-wife decided that her affair is more important to her than her kids, her marriage, and you. Stay on the path that you are on and take care that you only do what is best for you. No one of your friends and family has to live with the decisions you make now, so kindly ask them to respect your decision. If you want, tell them that you wished that it would be different, but that decision wasn't yours to make. Your soon-to-be ex-wife made that decision. She knew the consequences before she did it. If it ever came to light and still decided to go through with it, that is on her. Never set yourself on fire to keep others warm. It isn't your problem that your wife wasn't able to see what a wonderful person you are. OP's edit. I am healing now. I have gotten a lot of support here. I know how to handle my family and friends, so I'm good. I'm telling them all what happened, and that has seemed to slow down the barrage of requests for me to speak with her. I don't give a crap how my wife is. She made her choice, and I am making mine. I have decided to tell Frank's wife. I have called her and told her the key facts. She didn't believe me outright, so I'm meeting her at a coffee shop. I have tons of evidence, and we're meeting in 10 minutes. Regarding Tinder and flirting with other women, I just needed an ego boost. I needed to know other women would be interested in me. OP got some real solid advice here, so now let's move on with the update to see how this whole thing played out. Firstly, thank you everyone for your input. It helped me a lot. I have managed to get rid of most callers. There are only a few stranglers left still trying to pressure me. I met with Frank's wife. More on that further down. The two best responses I used to get people to stop pestering me turned out to be 1. Why don't you ask her why we are not talking? This was very effective. 2. If number 1 didn't work, I'd followed up with, imagine the trauma Sue has inflicted on me for me to go no contact. You pressuring me is adding a lot to my stress. Will you pay for my psychotherapy if I have a total mental breakdown? No? Okay, maybe you should stay out of this then. Okay. Click. Secondly, I think I need to clarify a little. Many of you seem to think that I had full control and executed a flawless maneuver. The entire day, apart from the 10 minutes when I confronted her, I was a total mess. It took me 2 months of steeling myself and preparation to be able to pull off the 10-minute confrontation. I was hoping she would turn around at the door and come back down. She had dozens of chances to stop and come clean, but she didn't. I guess I was hoping up until the last second that she had stopped. I would have been able to talk about reconciling up until the point where they got physical. It took everything I had not to break down in tears in the hotel. In fact, I started crying before I reached the end of the hallway. Also, I didn't do this as some kind of revenge. I did it to break free and regain a bit of my self-worth. Being cheated on was degrading, humiliating, and emasculating. I am a shell of my former self. I do realize that this is because I loved her with all of my heart, and it's why I decided to go no contact. I don't think I am strong enough yet to face her without breaking down, and I will never ever again show any weakness in front of her or anyone that might convey that to her. asking the questions to Frank, surprising and confronting my wife was all about me, not them. I took back control over my life, but I know I am too weak to hold on to that if I were to meet her today. So, I will strengthen my resolve, steel myself. I will never again show her any kindness or consideration. For her, I will be nothing but a rock-hard, ice-cold, emotionless, indifferent ex-husband. I will burn hers and Frank's life to the ground once the divorce goes through. Until then, I will work on bettering myself and getting on with my life. F them. They can do whatever they want. I can't control their choices. I can only control my own. On the positive side, I have excellent finances and can easily provide anything my children need. I currently live in a short-term rental apartment to have a place to hide, but we still own our house, so I just need to buy her out. I can easily do that. Many have asked how I can be this cold and calculating. I think a few even called me crazy. I don't see it like that. Let me be clear, I don't enjoy this at all. I see it as absolutely necessary actions for my own well-being and sanity. Life is change. My marriage in this case developed gangrene, so I am cutting it off before it affects more of my body and causes permanent damage. I have also decided to not flirt or do anything on Tinder. It was a nice ego boost, but I am in a vulnerable state, and I might cause someone else pain since I am not really in control of my emotions at this point. It would be selfish of me to expose anyone else to potential pain just to stroke my own ego. I met with Frank's wife yesterday. We talked for hours at the coffee shop we met. She was devastated. She called Frank and confronted him with me next to her on screen. He was pretty quiet, just said yes to the accusations that he was confronted with. No explanation, he just begged, pleaded, all the usual stuff. It was disgusting. She had been preparing for this as we talked, but still, she broke down and just hung up on him in the end. She ended up spending the night in my new apartment in the spare room. She just couldn't go home and face him. We talked all night, and it was cathartic to be able to vent my anger with someone that understood what this betrayal felt like. I heard her crying herself to sleep last night. It was heartbreaking. I wanted to go and hug her, but I didn't want to make it weird or make her uncomfortable. I will ask her today if I can do anything to help. I have told her that she can stay as long as she wants. Nobody knows about the apartment besides me. It's small and doesn't have a lot of furniture, but it has plenty of food and all the amenities you would need. She is trying to get her head on straight before facing Frank. Frank has been blowing up her phone with messages and apologies. When I left for work this morning, she still hadn't responded to any of them. The only person I have talked to beyond messages 1 and 2 is my wife's mother. I like her. She is very nice and she has always made me feel welcomed and cared for. She told me that my wife would be committed to a mental facility due to talking about terminal self-harm. She has been in a bad way, apparently, since the hotel. I told her that she is no longer my responsibility. She made these choices and she will need to deal with the consequences. I would appreciate it if she didn't update me on my wife since it was already painful enough and that I needed distance to properly separate myself from her. I also informed her that there is absolutely 0% chance of reconciliation. The divorce will go through. We will not communicate at all outside of issues related to our children. And that will all be done in writing. I have enough just dealing with myself at the moment, so I am not as strong as many seem to think. I managed to pull myself together just enough to cut the cord after 2 months of intense effort, and I would probably devolve into a sobbing mess if I met her today. I need time to heal, and everyone calling prevented that. I have also booked individual counseling. Later on, after the divorce is final, I will probably line up family counseling to make sure we are functional co-parents. My kids are currently with my parents. They coordinate visits for me and my wife for the time being. As a final thought, this was her choice, not an accident or temporary error of judgment. I could have forgiven and moved past that, but not this. This was planned out and premeditated. I don't know if she has any remorse, I just know she is in a bad place mentally, according to her mom. So thank you again, Reddit, for helping me fend off the well-meaning people that were interjecting themselves into my relationship on my wife's behalf. You guys are awesome. And that's it. That's all the information we have from OP. And even though he is incredibly hurt right now, I believe he dealt with it like a champ, with the whole thing. Like I said before, he gave her plenty of opportunities to stop this whole thing without it getting physical. She didn't need to come clean, at least I don't think she did, as long as she realized that she was effing up and had to stop it. But she didn't. And she took it a step further. She went to the hotel to get physical. Playing devil's advocate, some people might say that OP could have stopped it when it was just emotional and not physical. But it's not on him. His wife, like he said, is a grown woman. She made her own decisions. She made a choice. And now she needs to live with the fallout of her own doing. At least, that's my opinion. What do you guys think about this whole thing? How do you think OP reacted? And so we've reached the end of the video. I truly hope you guys liked it. If you did, go ahead and click like. Of course, don't forget to subscribe and click that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Also, here are more videos from my channel that you might enjoy. And having said all that, I will see you guys on the next video.